TV.
Welcome to Grey County Life. I'm JC Coutts.
I'm Sarah Carmichael. On the show today, we'll be talking to Kathleen Materiuk about the upcoming Putting for Paul fundraising golf tournament in honor of her brother Paul. And also Jaret from Summerfolk is going to be here to talk about that event coming up in August. And Renee from the Owen Animal Shelter will be joining us with an animal that is looking for a forever home.
Before I ask this question of how have you been lately, what have you been up to, I know one answer to that because the other day, it's very rare that I'm driving through Owen Sound on a weeknight evening, but yes. I was in town last week for a tack wrap to do the finale, and I'm driving home back to Port Elgin, and I see a light-colored lab walking up the street, and before even looking to see who was walking it, my hand immediately went to the horn, and I'm honking because I know at the other end of that leash is going to be you, because that's Wes. I see Wesley's walking.
Yes, my small horse, I like to call him, because he is humongous. Yes, my yellow lab Wesley and I were out for one of our many walks the other night.
Many times a day.
I think that was walk number 6 for the day. But you'd never know. If you had parked your car and walked up to us, he would have gone nuts and been jumping up and down, acting like he'd been cooped up all day and gets no exercise. Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, he gets plenty. But yes, that was us. My other dog, Remy, which is my chocolate lab, he was out on the boat with Ryan catching fish. That was part of the Georgian Triangle Anglers Association tournament. Mm-hmm. And Ryan actually that night, when you honked at me, he caught a 9.6 pound salmon.
Nice.
So.
That's a good night.
Yeah, it was a good night. It was a good night. But yeah, that was where he was. He usually takes Remy on the boat. Wesley will go as well sometimes, but he's really nervous.
Oh, doesn't like as much, eh?
No, like Remy's 4.5, and he's been pretty much on the boat his whole life. Wesley's 2, and we've been trying to take him out as often as we can, but he hasn't been out as much, so he will shake the whole time he's on the boat.
That's weird.
And he won't leave your side. If I'm sitting, he's right there, Velcro. So.
But he likes water though. He likes to swim.
Well, I told you the story about him ditching me at Kelso Beach, right? When he ran off, and I thought I was going to lose my dog because he was headed for the bay. Right. He loves the water.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is about being on the boat, if it's, the sounds around us or what, but or if he just doesn't trust Ryan's driving on the boat, I don't know. But yeah, he's less of a boat dog than Remy, so often Ryan and Remy will go fishing and me and Wessie just kind of hang out and have our nights, which is what was the other night there. But yeah, that's part of my daily routine, just out walking my dogs. Most people, when they see me, that's what I'm doing. That's right. Yeah. Because they're all like, well, I know what you do because I see you walking your dog multiple times a day. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, how have things been for you? Busy?
Busy. Yeah.
I neglected to mention this last week, but I want to say congratulations again on being named as the Volunteer of the Year for Rogers TV. That was a very nice surprise for you.
A big surprise. Yeah, did not see that coming because, we work with so many amazing volunteers behind the scenes here who you might see some of them on camera in the many shows that are produced out of Rogers TV Grey County, but there's also a lot of people behind the cameras as well. John's sitting behind the camera right now as one of our volunteers who we see all the time here at Grey County Life and at attack games. So, so many people put in so many hours, so I don't know how to say thank you properly. I'm just really bad at taking a compliment, so thank you to
I wasn't
everybody.
Meaning to make you uncomfortable, but I did want to mention it because it is an important thing. And you've done a lot of work with this show, with the Meaford Nights, with the Rogers TV interviews at the attack games. You've done attack play-by-play for them. You've put in a fair amount of volunteer hours. I feel like if you were a high school student, you would definitely hit your required volunteer community hours in probably just one season with the attack. So
you know what? It's weird to be handed an award for something that doesn't feel like work. It's something that's fun to do, and it's it will never stop being fun. That's why I do it. So
good. Well, your name's now on that official plaque, the one that's been created in memory of Jeffrey Chapman.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I got to, and actually Gord was here last week when to present the award formally to me. So it was great to have a quick chat with him and just see the pride in talking about Jeff. So I mean, it's when you get something like that in somebody's name that meant so much to so many people, it really gets you here too.
Oh,
so
right.
That's so appreciated.
Yeah. Jeff was a dedicated volunteer for many years with Rogers. I actually grew up with him. So our families went to church together when we were kids, and so I'm very, very familiar with the Chapman family and with Jeffrey. And anyway, so congratulations. I'm not trying to embarrass you or make you uncomfortable, but I think it deserves to be noted because it's a pretty great, recognition of your efforts. But
Appreciate it.
of course, you haven't been doing the Meaford Knights and the attack games. So what have you been doing with all your free time? People keep asking me that too, because I'm not working the attack games. They're like, what do you do? I'm like, nothing.
Yeah, I guess now I'm just we're trying to do some more family time now.
Right.
So actually, a funny story. A couple of weeks ago, we had the niece and nephew came for a 2-night stay.
Okay.
Which we haven't had them for 2 nights, and so we're still kind of learning more about them, and they're learning about us. When you've got twin 3.5-year-olds. But there was a funny moment I had where on the Saturday morning, I took my 3.5-year-old nephew, Robbie, to the grocery store. We ran out to Food Basics to go grab a few things for breakfast that morning. And he loved it because they have a tractor in the shape of a cart that he got to zoom around. And he got a sticker from the really nice girl at the checkout line. So of course the next morning, Sunday rolls around, and I've realized I didn't buy bacon yesterday, so we need to go back to the grocery store at 8:30 in the morning to buy just bacon and a tomato. And this time we take the sister, so Rebecca comes with us, and they're rolling around in the tractor, and they're in their pajamas, and I realized I look like a divorced dad right now pushing these two
Or
around.
just any dad.
Or just any
Why a
dad, but
divorced
just
dad?
trying your best. You know,
Oh
you've
my
got the
gosh.
kids, you're only buying 1 or 2 items, and
Oh.
you're there first thing on a Sunday morning.
Well, you're looking just for like a dad who's letting mom sleep in.
Exactly.
'cause
That's what
she's
we were doing.
Tired.
We were letting the aunt sleep and,
Yeah.
and have her time. So we went out. We had a
Oh,
great
my
time.
goodness.
And
But-
if no trip with a kid, as I've learned, is complete to a grocery store unless you bring home candy. So, like
Or me. That's my grocery store visits too.
that's right.
Oh my goodness.
boy.
It's going to be a great show today. Hopefully you'll be able to stick around. Coming up next, we'll talk to Kathleen Materiuk about the upcoming Putting for Paul golf tournament on Grey County Life.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, I'm Liz Dowdswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. In 2008, carbon monoxide, a deadly invisible gas, killed an entire family in our province. That tragedy led to a new law requiring homes with potential CO sources to have alarms. John Gignac's family members passed away that day, and he shares his story to save others.
Please make sure you have working CO alarms in your home. Protect your family today.
Was that 4 or 5? He's lost count and still thinks he can drive. Do you think he knows that when he is caught and charged with impaired driving, he'll lose his license and a lot more? If he gets in his car, he'll face costs exceeding $20,000. Does he realize he could have a criminal record for his choice to drive? And it could be much worse if he crashes. I wonder what he'll be thinking tomorrow.
I'm Fore. Have a Holden 1 at 15.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Joining us on Zoom right now on Grey County Life, we have Kathleen Materiuk. Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Sarah.
Thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us. I know you're a busy gal, but we are, of course, going to talk about the third annual Putting for Paul golf tournament that is coming up in July. Now, first, let's talk about Paul. Now, Paul was your brother, and what should we know about Paul?
So Paul is very well known in the Owen Sound community. As you know, he was a member of the Owen Sound Fire Department. He joined the OSFD in 2016. So actually received his 5-year certificate just actually a few days before he passed. He loved being a firefighter and loved the Owen Sound community. He was, of course, an active angler, as we all know as well. Everyone from the community came to us with stories after he passed around how he would be a participant in, the Salmon Derby and all of the events that happened. And he would be the first person to clean his salmon and bring it to his neighbors and to people he knew throughout the whole community. So he was very well known, very well loved, which is no surprise here.
Yeah, he really was a big part of the community, as you are. I think if you work in an industry where you're a firefighter, and I mean, you're going to meet these people on a regular basis, sometimes at one of the worst moments of their life. So I think when you're a first responder, it's just natural that you are a part of the community, and he really lived and breathed that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I'm just want to add too, today's actually First Responder Day. So I'd like to thank all the first responders out there, as my brother was one. And thank you all for the work that you do, because you're totally right in what you said.
Yeah. He was somebody that I unfortunately never had the opportunity to meet, but I definitely knew who he was. And he had a reputation of being just one of those guys that would do anything for anybody. And he was always, volunteering for different things, helping out with, the toy drives with the fire department at Christmas time. And he was actually a friend of many friends of mine, I'm a local. I was born here in Owen Sound. So we had a lot of the same sort of friends. It's actually weird that we never met. We never actually crossed paths, and we were both people that would be out on boats fishing during the derbies and such too. But everybody that I've ever talked to has nothing but wonderful things to say about Paul. And so it just makes sense that you would want to honor his memory by doing something great. And I imagine that's sort of the idea of where the Putting for Paul golf tournament initiative came from.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it beautifully, Sarah. So once he passed, like you said, our main goal is to keep his legacy alive and remember him and come together. He was well known not only in the Owen Sound community, but in London, where he grew up, in Halifax, where he was a firefighter as well, and just really wherever he was, he had a way of making bonds and relationships with people. So Putting for Paul is a great annual event that we hope to keep running for many years to come. And people from all avenues of his life come together and celebrate him that day with 18 holes of golf, dinner, raffle, prizes, silent auction. It's a full day of fun. And we have the opportunity to make a change and make a difference, as well as all of our proceeds go to different charities each year.
Yeah. So who is the intended recipient this year for the funds?
Yeah, we're happy to announce that we're partnering with the Owen Sound Salvation Army Food Bank this year. We have been working closely with Alice from the Salvation Army, and she has provided us with so much support in the past as well. And Paul, like you mentioned, he participated in the toy drives with the fire department. He was a personal sponsor for a family during the Thanksgiving season. He did a lot of volunteer work with the Salvation Army himself, and I know that he would be more than thrilled, as we are, to be partnering with them officially this year for this event.
And I would imagine he knew Alice's husband, Drew, pretty well as well, because of course, Drew owns Watson's Tackle. So Paul, I'm sure, was a good customer to him.
Yeah. They've shared many stories about Paul. Just two people of many that we've been learning stories, and the stories keep coming in, which again is why I love events like this. Just opportunity to meet people that Paul touched, and just learn even more about my brother.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. You're learning because, I mean, you don't live here in Owen Sound, so you weren't part of his day to day necessarily. So when events like this happen, you get to learn even more about all the great things that he did. Now, this event has gone on for now. This will be the third year. So in the past 2 years, where did the funds get sent for those from those tournaments?
Yeah, so the first year we sponsored Camp Presqu'île. It's a camp for kids to learn everything outdoors, which is very much Paul. So archery, canoeing, kayaking, fishing. It gives children. I said students because I'm in education. Sorry, I'm in school right now. Children an opportunity to go to camp who may not have the funds to pay for their camp experience. And we were happy to raise just short of 10,000 in the first year for them. Last year, we supported Veterans and Everyday Heroes, an incredible organization who supports mental health initiatives for our veterans and our first responders. And that was last year, 2023, and we were happy to raise over $10,000 for that organization. So we have a goal ahead of us, and we're hoping to raise even more if we can for the Salvation Army Food Bank this year.
That's amazing. And, Paul himself was a veteran.
He was, yeah. He was in the Canadian Armed Forces collectively from 1998 to 2016 in different avenues, of course. He started out in infantry and then left to become a firefighter and then joined back where he was stationed in Halifax for a few years as a firefighter before moving to Trenton and then Owen Sound. So he set up camp in a lot of different places and has left his legacy certainly in those places with those people.
Amazing.
When you're a veteran, as you mentioned, you do get to meet a lot of people. You'll have friends and connections all across Canada when you serve. I'm curious, are there old friends? Do you get a lot of people booking to come to the tournament from far away that are more than happy to travel to support Paul's memory?
Absolutely. Yeah. Incredible turnout each year. We have a group of men that he grew up with in London. They were teenagers together, and just being able to reminisce each year and see these people come back and show their support. It's inspiring, and we're just incredibly thankful to them for making the trip and joining us each year.
Amazing. Now the day itself, what's that going to look like? So it's going to be a shotgun starts at 1 o'clock. You get to golf in foursomes for this event. Of course, there's going to be a big dinner at the end of it, and I'm going to guess probably silent auction items, raffles, all of that's going to be happening as well.
You bet. I think you nailed the nail on the head there. It's 1 o'clock start, as you said. If you don't have a foursome to register, certainly register as an individual. We'll find you a team to play with. We have themed holes along the course, and we also have people who sponsor holes. So if you are interested in sponsoring, it is $120 for a hole, and we give the opportunity for an individual or a business to have a custom sign made, which we would then display at that hole. After the 18, we have our dinner with a silent auction, and it's always such a success. We have someone speak, so it would be most likely someone from the Salvation Army speak during dinner to talk about where the funds that we have raised that day, where they're going to be going towards, and it's always just so much fun.
Incredible. And registration is already open, I understand. And have you already been receiving some registration inquiries?
Oh, yes. Yeah. The registrations are rolling in. So get your registration in if you're interested. It's $140. It's going to be at Stone Tree, as we mentioned. And the $140 gets you access to 18 holes, the cart, the dinner, and all the good stuff that day will entail. We are also looking for other ways that you can support if you're not able to join us in person that day. We're looking for donations for our raffle prizes and our silent auction. And also if you can volunteer that day, if you're not really a golfer but want to be there, we're looking for volunteers to help out. So certainly you can email me. I think, Sarah, you have my email address, but I'll say it here too. So it's Materiuk, which is Paul's last name as well, at yahoo.com.
Perfect.
And I'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Volunteers are so much help when it comes to days like this, because there's so many people coming and going, and having people that can even just point you in the right direction is always really beneficial. Now, I do know there's also an early bird prize if you sign up by May 31st.
Correct. Yes. So we have a beautiful Yeti cooler that was donated to us by the Salvation Army Food Bank. So if you register by May 31st, you'll get your name put into that raffle. And I will share that the same very close friend of Paul's won the past 2 years, but he's unfortunately not able to join us this year. So this year might be your chance.
So somebody actually has an opportunity to win other than that guy. That's wild. I mean, that's luck, right? Winning two years in a row, the early bird prize.
Yeah, out of like 120 people. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. So, okay, funds are going to the Salvation Army, specifically to the food bank to help with their needs, because I mean, we can all agree that is a great need right now. I'm sure that,
Absolutely.
Peter, you've seen that too within your work with, families that, a lot of people are struggling just to make ends meet with the rising cost of literally everything. So I think that's a really important initiative.
Yeah, I do have some stats actually that Alice shared with me. So just last year alone in 2023, over $1,266,000 of food was distributed to the Owen Sound community through the food bank. And just I guess 2 months ago now, just in March of 2024, 1,217 individuals received help from the food bank. So the proceeds are going to be used; they're needed, and it is such a great cause.
Yeah. And a lot of the folks that are using the food bank now are first-time users too. I understand, like I've heard that, a lot of people who've never visited are now finding themselves in a position where they need that support. And I mean, it's amazing that it's there. And, fundraising with events like the Putting for Paul is so important to continue to keep those shelves stocked for people that need that extra helping hand.
Absolutely. Many children too, which is a sad reality.
Yeah, I actually spoke to Alice a couple of months ago. They were doing a food drive just after Christmas with the radio stations that I work with. And she had shared a story with me about meeting with a mother whose children hadn't been going to school because she didn't have anything for their lunches. And it just was like, oh my God, like gets you right, right in your heart. And the kids were missing out on school because the mother was embarrassed to send them off to school with no food. And it's just heartbreaking to hear stories like that. And so knowing that, an event like this is going to raise a significant amount and is going to help and make sure that those kids have lunches is just awesome.
Absolutely.
I'm sure as a sibling, you probably have favorite stories to tell about your brother, maybe embarrassing stories to tell about Paul, to really help us understand just who he was, because it sounds like, I mean, he was a guy with a heart of gold. He was a hero. He served in the military. He was a firefighter. I mean, anybody that does that, you've got hero in your blood. So what are some of your favorite stories to tell about Paul?
Yeah, so he had the warmest heart. And he was someone who just gave and was extremely generous with his time and his care. The three of us. So I have two older brothers, Paul and Dave, and then I was the baby and the only girl in the family, and we grew up incredibly close. In our 20s, we would often hang out together, and even into our adult years, I'll share that I have two little girls, and Paul was just the most proud uncle, and he would travel from Owen Sound. We live in Burlington, so close to a 3-hour drive each way, and he would be there for any event, for my children's baptism, for their birthdays. The last time we did actually see them in person was for my daughter's 3rd birthday, and it was princess themed, and he didn't skip a beat. He was there with Princess Belle, and which I think he was actually texting his friends about Princess Belle later that day. But he texted me before he left, and he's like, "Can I dress up? Can I do anything?" And I'm like, "Well, I'll save everyone from seeing you in a tutu, Paul, but but I appreciate you being here." And it's just he was a family man. He loved his friends. He loved being helpful. Like he would help everyone else out in their home renovations and wherever he could, before even working or like focusing on his own personal goals. So he is very much missed by everybody, and I could talk your ear off with stories, but I think that just kind of paints a picture of who Paul was. He had a heart of gold.
Yeah, I know friends of mine built a place on Manitoulin Island, and Paul went up and helped them.
Yes, I know you're speaking of.
Yeah,
and yeah, I've seen pictures and videos, and yeah, it's actually Donnie, Sarah, who has won both.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I went to high school with his wife, Michelle. So
Okay.
I know them. I know them.
Yeah. Yeah. So he did so much work with them, and I know that they've honored him in their cottage too. And he just loved that. He honored every single second he spent with those that he loved.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I'm sure he's so happy to know that you're all going to be gathering in his honor. And this will be the 3rd year that you've done it, raising money for causes that are important to him, and, continuing to share stories and talk about all of his accomplishments and his incredible spirit and his loving nature. And so if people want to sign up, as we said before, there is that early bird prize as a bit of an initiative, or a bit of an incentive to get signed up early, because who doesn't want a Yeti cooler? I do.
Right. I know.
That would be fun. I could use a Yeti cooler. So if you're interested, you can email Kathleen Materiuk@yahoo.com. Get yourself signed up, as she said, a foursome or just as an individual, and they can put you on a team. That's no problem. And if you're signed up by May 31st, you're in for that early bird. And then the event itself is Saturday, July 6th. Now, do you have a cutoff for the actual registration?
No, we're looking to get more people. So we haven't had to cut it off in years past. So I don't anticipate that happening this year. But even I want to add to, even if you didn't happen to know Paul, but like, please come and learn about him. Have a great time. I trust you're going to meet so many people and hear so many stories that day that we would love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Kathleen. Looking forward to this event. And, hopefully it's another successful year.
Thank you both. Thank you so much for having me today.
I am Gagwege. My name means everything.
Tom Longboats.
I am Wolf Clan, Onondaga Nation. I've run many different races. I've run to survive and to be free. I've run to win for honor.
His people might be lazy, but this one's damn fast.
My people respected our runners, people who carried important messages from village to village.
I need a guide to the next post. Dispatch carrier, sir. I can get you there.
God's sakes, man, slow down. Who do you think I am, Tom Longboat?
No, sir. I am.
Running makes me feel alive. It's everything.
Tom Longboat was the first Indigenous person to win the Boston Marathon. He ran his way to international fame and became an inspiration to generations of athletes.
Are you the type who would keep going or stop? It's not easy to stop when you have an addiction. Legalizing cannabis won't stop addiction. It trivializes its consumption. Let's be vigilant. If you need help, visit portage.ca.
Welcome back to Grey County Life. Of course, the weather is starting to warm up. We're getting into the summer season, and it's not summer in Owen Sound without Summerfolk. 49 years, hard to believe. And joining us now to talk about it is the operations manager, Jaret Koop is here. Hi, Jaret. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Very good. I'm sure you're very busy gearing up for this year's festival because I mean, every year it's the planning starts it pretty much starts as soon as you pack up from the previous year.
Yeah, it doesn't end.
Yeah.
No, it just changes from one phase to the next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this year's festival, 49 years.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the history of it. If you're new to Owen Sound, someone that's just arrived in the last few years in this community, and you haven't yet experienced Summerfolk, what's it all about?
So Summerfolk is a community culture festival. So over the years it's had many different looks, but basically it's about music, it's about art, it's about food, and community come together and having a good time.
It's also about wearing a lot of tie-dye.
Sometimes it can be about wearing a lot of tie-dye. There is definitely tie-dye there. No doubt about that.
In my experience. I'm getting ready. I've got my Birkenstocks on. Those are also part of the official Summerfolk uniform.
I will say that there are some tie-dye makers there that make some of the best tie-dye I've ever seen. So
yeah,
this is true.
Amazing, amazing. So yeah, there's lots of history. There's been, oh my gosh, so many incredible performers at this event over the years. A lot of well-known performers. I know that you've just recently announced the lineup for this year. How many people are on that list? It looked pretty extensive.
Oh, I'm not sure exactly where we're at right now, but we're somewhere in and around 30 plus artists.
Incredible.
At this point.
And there's 2 stages?
There's 7 stages.
7, okay,
yeah.
okay.
So we have the main stage, which is the amphitheater, which has the big Summerfolk canopy over it and all that. We also have the Down by the Bay stage, which is the commonly referred to as the beer tent. That's where you buy your beer.
That's where you'll find me.
And then we also have the wine bar stage, which we've moved and combined it with the gazebo stage. So that's just over the hill from the amphitheater. And we have the dance stage. And the dance stage and workshop stages used to be called Over the Hill, but now we call it Down by the River. And that is down to the south end there. And that is typically where workshops and dance demonstrations are done. And then we also have a family village stage, which will have some entertainment geared more towards kids. But we'll also have some of the other artists just come on and play it, because we think everybody should enjoy the world music.
The talent, yeah.
And then we also have something called the Sharing Circle. And the Sharing Circle is dedicated more towards spoken word and interviews.
Okay.
So last year we had some great spoken word stuff. We also had, the year before that, we had a wonderful band, I'm blanking on the name now, but they broke down their instruments that they use from around the world and talked about it. And then last year we also had a really wonderful interview there with Lorena McKennett before she left. So yeah, so there's stuff going on everywhere on the grounds. There are arts classes by Georgia Bay Center for the Arts. They have classes for block printing and metal work and glass work, like stained glass work, that kind of stuff. And then there's the Artisan Village, which is all handmade, artisan crafted work. So the idea is to bring folk arts, both music and craft, to the park.
Right, yeah.
And you must get really good feedback from the artists that are a part of this. I mean, Chantal Kraviazik came a couple of years ago, then came back, so she must have obviously loved it. They must love coming here because it is a much different experience than some of those bigger musical festivals you hear about.
Yeah, I mean, the folk festival thing, there's a lot of similarities, but there is something pretty magical about Summerfolk. In my previous life as a musician, which I still play, but I've played a lot of festivals in Ontario and around, and something about the location and something about the feel and the vibe of it. When I first moved up here and I went to it the first time, it felt like I was walking back into a festival from 20 or 30 years ago, in that it had a real sort of eclectic village feel to it. And it didn't necessarily feel like a big corporate event. It just felt like there was a lot of really cool, fun people doing cool and fun things.
Yeah, and it's such a great event for families too. Like a lot of these festivals you go to, and ones I've been to over the years, like I wouldn't be bringing kids to, right? But this sort of environment, as you said, is very positive. It's more friendly, I think, for families, and you see a lot of people bringing their kids.
Yeah, I mean that's a conscious effort. Since I got here, we have really tried to make it a festival that young families want to come to. So we've introduced special pricing for that, because it was starting to get really expensive for a family of 4 or 5 to come to the festival. So we've introduced for the age of 14 to 18 a $35 youth ticket for the weekend. It goes up to $50 at the gate on the weekend, but still it's pretty a good price compared to what else is out there. And that way, you know, a young family can come. I think it was John Farmer that I heard it from. I don't know if he coined the term or not, but he's fond of saying you don't get old folkies without young folkies. So, you know, and for me, I've always kind of been a bit of a scene builder with music, and part of the reason I moved here is because this area has always punched above its weight for music and art. And for a town this size to have as much music as it has, as much talent as it has, is quite incredible. And so I try to, anytime kids are trying to do events or throw shows or anything like that, I try to find a way to help them either through sound or location or whatever I can to help them do their things. Because for the same reason, I want to always enjoy good music where I am. And the only way you get that is if you encourage kids to do it.
Right, yeah. How long have you been involved with Summerfolk then?
So I started in 2020, in February 2020, about a month before...
The world shut down?
Yeah.
We all remember that.
Yeah. So, well, we remember parts of it. You know, it was definitely a time. I always made the joke that I learned how to cancel a festival before I learned how to throw one.
Oh goodness.
But we did do some interesting things during that period. We did a virtual fest that year, which was pretty fun and encouraged what we called watch parties. At the time, you could only hang out outside with up to 12 people. So there were all these parties all over the place, including some in the park. And then, like, in my backyard, we threw up a screen with a big PA system, and that's how we watched it and had a fire. And then the next year, we did something called Bubble Fest, where we went out into people's backyards, into city parks, into the conservation, Grace Auble, and all over the place, and as well as the venues in town. And we had about 100 shows in 3 days, all taking place at the same time, and you bought your ticket to the venue. And you stayed there, and then we moved the artists around because it was easier to control a small group of people than a large group. So we were able to move about 2,000 people through town in 2021 and not have any cases of COVID attributed to us, which was a big part of our goal.
Yeah.
And then 2022, we went back to the park, and that was a difficult year. It was very difficult to get things that year. You know, even just to get rental vehicles, you know, or to get any products or anything like that. So it was a difficult year. I always like to liken that year to anybody who was trying to do anything that year was like driving a school bus with the back end on fire. And all you're trying to do is get it back to the yard and parked before it blows up. And any way you do that is a success. So that was my, and then last year I titled it, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, because what happened last year was everybody came back to a lot of things. There was a lot of really wonderful things happened last year. It was a great festival, and other organizations as well. They had great returns. They had people coming to their shows again as well, and things like that. But the problem with last year was everything, the cost of everything exploded. So, you know, every year's got its challenges. And this year we're really focusing on, you know, last year we had some really big headliners, and it was wonderful. This year we don't have headliners of that kind of name. We have wonderful amazing musicians like David Francie, who just won a Juno for folk music, and Tara Lightfoot, and many others. And really, this year, it's about come to the festival, and you're going to find your new favorite band.
Right.
Because there is going to be some incredible music there. And a lot of it you may not have experienced before. And I kind of feel like that's the thing that Summerfolk does the best. Like every year I've gone, I have found a new artist to obsess over for the next several years. And so, you know, that's really, I think, what I'm looking forward to the most as far as the music goes, is I know that I'm going to find someone that I've never heard of, and I'm going to buy all their stuff, and I'm going to subscribe to all their channels, and I'm going to follow them for the next while.
Yeah. The names might not be as flashy as they've been in previous years, but the talent is certainly there.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You kind of answered it, because one of my questions was, in an era since the pandemic where so many music festivals across Canada haven't made it out, it sounds like you guys, I mean, you went through the challenges. It wasn't easy, but I'm curious, and I'm sure it's a combination of reasons why you've survived. It probably, well, a group of people behind the scenes that are willing to work together and be flexible, and also just a good community of musicians and live music, and a hungry city for it probably is the reason why it's still here.
Well, I think, you know, we're making changes like everyone else has to. The models have changed coming out of the pandemic. The models have changed for musicians. The models have changed for touring. The models have changed for festivals. And we're in the midst of a transition period, no doubt. And it is difficult for any organization, especially one that's been around a long time, to adjust on the fly and make changes and keep going. I think the biggest reason why Summerfolk will continue to go is because there's enough people who care enough to make sure that it does. You know, so we end up with very dedicated board members who put a lot of time and work and effort into. We have a very dedicated community festival group that is dedicated to making sure that the festival comes back and happens. Even our suppliers understand that it's been a tough go, so they're willing to work with us going forward and things like that. So it takes a lot of goodwill, and it takes a lot of effort from a lot of people for something like this to just keep going. And that's true of any time, but right now it's, you know, I watched all the budget meetings for the various councils, municipal and city and provincial, and you know, the message is clear. You know, times are a little bit tough for money-wise, and I think that's probably something that everybody would relate to and recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you do have a fundraising concert that's coming up on May 25th, and this is going to celebrate Gordon Lightfoot.
Yeah. So it's something we talked about. We started talking about doing a Gordon Lightfoot tribute actually well before last year's festival. But this year, you know, we do need to run some fundraisers. So we thought, well, it'd be a great time to bring that idea forward. And we asked a wonderful group of musicians if they were available and interested, and everyone said yes, which is amazing. So we've got you know, we've got Tara McKenzie, we've got Larry Jensen, we've got Josh Ritchie, Amber May, Kaylee Jane Hawkins, we've got Morgan and Brian Barry. Oh, I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. I probably should have brought a list. And of course, we've got James Keelahan. It's going to close out the show with us. We've got a house band with Ken Kelly and Mike Weir, and myself on bass. So it's going to be a pretty outstanding event, and I think it's going to be a show that will knock everybody's socks off, to be honest.
And that's on May 25th?
May 25th at the Harmony Center, yeah.
Oh, good. And I recognize all of those names
Yeah.
as local people that I've seen. Like Kaylee was on here.
She's been on here at Christmas,
time singing carols for us.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, Amber May I've seen, like Morgan Berry. I've definitely, like, these are all names that I know.
Oh, and JD Crosstown and Alison McGregor.
Oh, perfect.
Are the other ones.
Is Tara McKenzie from the McKenzie Blues Band?
That's the one.
Okay, perfect. I was like, I know that name too.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that's coming up at the Harmony Center on May 25th. Tickets are on sale, or is it a pay at the door kind of situation?
Tickets are going to be on sale through our website.
Okay.
And then you'll also be able to pay at the door. It's $30 in advance, $35 at the door.
Perfect.
You know, it's a pretty unique community of musicians up here, and it was one of the things that I talked about my former employer when I was moving up here, is that, you know, a community of 22,000 people, and we have multiple adult choirs that throw shows. We have multiple music schools. We have, you know, you can go see live music from Tuesday to Saturday almost every week.
Sometimes Sunday afternoon.
Sometimes
too.
Sunday afternoon too, like this past Sunday.
Yeah, because you had your youth discoveries this past Sunday. So that was something that was for youth, and they were competing for a spot at Summerfolk.
Yeah, so we run it kind of like a program. It is a competition, but we don't like to treat it like a competition. And what I mean by that is, so we do preliminaries in other towns. We'll go out, this year we went to London, Guelph, Toronto, and Collingwood. And then we'll bring up to 12 acts back to Owen Sound for a finale. And basically the idea is to go out and find musicians who are ready to take that next step. And then, you know, for other musicians who maybe won't necessarily get through the first time they come into the contest, it's about interacting with other musicians who are ready to take that next step and sort of go onto a larger level and get out there as musicians. And the finale is quickly becoming my favorite show of the year, because every year, like, the quality is incredible, the people are amazing, and the show is just awesome. And then the winners go on, up to 5 of them go on to become you know, fully paid artists at the festival, and they get to mix and mingle with more seasoned artists and people with longer history and all that kind of stuff.
What great experience.
Yeah.
Incredible. So Summerfolk coming up August 16th, 17th, 18th.
Yep.
Cowso Beach, Nawash Park. Tickets are on sale now.
They are.
And you're also still looking for volunteers, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll be signing up volunteers probably right up until the festival.
Perfect. So summerfolk.org is where people can go to get their information.
Absolutely.
And also Summerfolk on Facebook.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Jaret. Coming up next, we're going to have Renee joining us from the Owen Sound Animal Shelter on Grey County Live.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
McKee here of Wandering Grey Bruce. I am so excited to bring to you the 5th season of the show. We're going to meet some very exciting and interesting people. Stay tuned. This season, we are going to Chantry Island, visiting southern Grey County to explore barn quilts, and we have an exclusive interview with the Coast Guard at Tobermory. So join me on Rogers TV.
Join us on the next episode of Grey County Life. We'll be joined by some folks from the Owen Sound Legion to learn more about what's happening there these days.
Also, Michelle from the Alzheimer's Society will be here to talk about their upcoming walk, and Renee from the Owen Sound Animal Shelter on Grey County Life.
Welcome back to Grey County Life. Joined now by Renee from the Owen Sound Animal Shelter. And Renee, this is a different dog than we saw last week.
It is. She's not.
Just making sure.
Same kind of breed, but much smaller stature.
Yes.
Very different. This is also a Chihuahua. Actually, he's a Chihuahua mix. He's part hairless, hence for his hairlessness.
Yeah.
His hairlessness, your naked little self. This is Turbo, and Turbo is also an 8-year-old Chihuahua.
Of course it's Turbo.
Of course it is. He's a warm peach. I would have called him peaches, or things that are inappropriate.
Fuzzy.
Exactly. He is very similar to your Sphinx cats in feel. I don't know if everybody's like, well, I've never touched a Sphinx cat. A warm peach. That's the best I've got for you. A warm, shaking peach. He has been in a family in which he's been doted on, as often these little guys are. He's been well-traveled. He's been out and about and spoiled rotten to the point that he wants to be on your lap or under your covers all the time. Don't you?
He's cold.
Because he's cold.
He's got no fur.
He needs a jacket.
Yes.
His people had a baby and had less time for Turbo, and so unfortunately he's looking for a new home. He's looking for a home where he can be the one and only, right? The one and only, because that's what you want to be.
He's looking for the master with the rings too. Does he not look like Dobby or Dobby or whatever?
1,000%, or
from Lord
Ren
of
and
the Rings?
Stimpy. There's so much fun you could have.
I believe it's Gollum.
Gollum?
Gollum.
Yeah, you got Goby, which I think you meant Dobby from Harry Potter.
Dobby.
So you're getting your
Maybe
small,
that's it.
ugly little things mixed up from
I was not
from
calling
different.
him ugly.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
It was
ugly.
the ears. It's the ears.
It's the ears. It's the ears and the bug eye combination.
I am not calling him ugly.
But if we give you a sock, does that mean you'll have a forever home then? That was the Dobby thing from Harry Potter.
Oh, well, he has a pig.
He has an emotional support pig.
This is just support pig.
Oh
He
God.
brings it with him everywhere.
Okay, so how old is Turbo?
He is also 8 years old, just like our last. That's a little weird that he's also 8, but that's okay. Turbo comes with his crate, his blanket, his clothing, and all of his toys. So he comes fully prepared to pick up his home and put it somewhere else. I feel like we're talking about a guinea pig.
Right.
He comes with his house.
His accessories.
He comes with his thing. You can put him in a ball. No, we're not going to do that.
No.
We're not going to do that.
How is he with other dogs?
He is good with dogs.
Okay.
He's good with cats. He would love to have a buddy. As I said, he's been very well given all the attention in the world, very well loved. And so he's noticing a very big difference. He and a few of the shelter cats have been spending their time sitting at my feet, trying to keep him happy.
The cats are trying to keep him warm.
Yeah, that too. He does get along with them very, very well. He's a little afraid of the ones that don't like him. They're bigger, but no issues with them at all. And same with the dogs. We would say proceed with caution because of his very small size. He runs a chance of being squished.
Yeah, now I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with hairless animals.
Yep.
Are there any sort of special considerations for him, like in regards to his care?
He needs to be kept clean.
Okay.
Hair is the part of our body that keeps dirt out of places. So you would need to do a little more frequent bathing. To be honest, he'll get a little greasy because of our hands touching him. Our grease goes on his body.
Right.
He doesn't have the hair to keep it off. So just regular bathing a little more frequently than your regular dogs. That's a very strange thing to say. And in saying that, a degrease formula as opposed to your traditional dog shampoo like Dawn dish soap would be your best friend, probably, right? Or puppy wipes.
Right.
They have degreasing ones, which sounds strange. But the aloe-based would be very good for his nice soft skin. Right? Or oatmeal. Right?
Oh my gosh, he doesn't appear to be like a barker either.
He is not. He's also not a dog that does a lot of pacing which is quite typical of the Chihuahuas. You don't do those sort of things. You're quite happy to just sit and be content.
Right.
He would be a wonderful companion for somebody looking for a companion. I was just explaining to one of the cameramen, I was like, this would be a perfect little dog to sit in places and take his picture.
Yeah.
Right? That's a perfect little job for you.
If you have a dream of becoming an influencer.
Right. Look at this.
Turbo could be the perfect subject for that. You could devote an entire Instagram and TikTok account to him, him wearing different outfits.
1,000%.
Possibly
This could make you famous.
Dawn soap.
Right? This
Like,
could make you
if
famous.
it's good enough for him, it's good enough for your house.
Right?
Right?
You put a little hat on you.
Yeah.
Some
and
goggles.
I'm picturing him as different movie characters.
Right? Oh my gosh. See, now everybody wants him.
I feel like I need to quit my job and do this full time.
Right.
And create
Right?
backdrops. Oh,
Right?
yes. He would be wonderful as a companion. As you said, he would be a great buddy to go on car rides with and
Put him in a
adventures.
backpack.
Absolutely. Put him in your car to Canadian Tire, pushing him around.
Right? Oh my gosh, the fun you could have.
He would love it. He would also be a great salesperson, or not salesperson, but rep for Canadian Tire if they wanted to use him in their
1,000%.
marketing.
He's like the Michigan man dog.
Yeah, just
Right?
make sure the little red vest is insulated.
Yes.
Keep them warm.
Keep him warm.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you mentioned it, but because of the partial hairlessness,
Yep.
does that mean hypoallergenic for?
Well, it should.
It should, theoretically.
People can be allergic to dander, saliva, and fur, so there's things. If it were fur, you're good, because there is none.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I mean, he's got one little sticky out hair here. It reminds me of a chin hair, and I feel like I should pull it, but I won't.
No.
He's
been working on that for 8 years.
I know. I'm afraid to pull it. It's I mean, I'm like,
He's
"Eh, I
like,
should
this is my
get that
one
out of
hair
there."
that I've been trying to grow.
He does have some little chesty patch here.
Right.
I mean, there's some little toe hairs, but predominantly, no, there's no fur. He also doesn't appear to have the same dander. As I said earlier, he's like a warm, squishy peach. There's not the dandruffy flake.
Yeah, he's not like
so
flaky.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would recommend if you have an allergy to dogs to come and pet him and rub him and kiss him and stuff and see what happens.
Bring your EpiPen just in case.
Just come try it if you're thinking about it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
mean, I don't know.
Well, Turbo, you're.
I just can't guarantee anything.
Yeah,
Right?
Turbo, you're
Listen
a
here.
peach.
He is.
Physically and literally.
Yeah.
He is. It's the tail
And,
for me. It's
figuratively.
very ratty.
Oh my
no,
goodness.
I mean that affectionately.
He's so cute. You're so cute. So if anyone's interested in Turbo, certainly they can contact Renee. I wouldn't imagine he's going to be there very long.
Well, I hope not, because no offense, you're a little needy. Constantly with me.
A little needy. So other than Turbo, what's the shelter like these days with your intakes?
Yeah, we're starting to compose a list of people waiting to bring pets in. So we're getting full. In saying that, we are expecting lots more things to come. So please keep us in mind if you're considering a dog or a cat that goes through to cats. Kitten season is starting.
Yes.
Yay. So we'll be seeing kittens as well in the very near future. And it's one of those things. Again, the large breed dogs are not moving. Those are the ones we have the highest need for. You just got lucky to get to come today. This little one needs to move quickly as well, simply because he needs a buddy. And, you know, we don't want him to struggle without having a buddy, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, if you're interested in Turbo or any of the animals currently available, or if you're looking to get put on their list for one that's going to be coming into them in the future, call them at 519-372-1123. Thank you so much, Renee, for coming in with Turbo, and thank you for joining us on Grey County Life.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Where's you?
This is a perfectly healthy child. What's unhealthy are birth alerts, a racist practice that may stop this Indigenous mother from going home with her newborn.